If I understood the question correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, are you saying, is there a cause and effect relationship between what we're talking about here? Sorry. A cause and effect relationship between what we're talking about here and the bottom line?
Yes. What I want to say that is it possible to establish a relationship between the customer care, paying customer care, with improving bottom line?
Yeah. I think there's a plethora of research out there today that's saying, and you know, whether it's Gallup or any of the other ones, they're all saying basically the same thing in slightly different ways, but they're saying that there is a direct correlation between companies where people are happy and engaged and stock market returns, profitability, and other, you know, metrics. In Southwest Airlines' case, you know, it's the best customer service record in the entire American airline industry. It's a market cap that exceeds all of the other U.S. airlines combined. So I think there is a direct cause and effect there.
Okay. Can we have the mic? Can we have the mic here, please? This side? Okay, this side, yeah. And then we come.
Thank you. If this is so powerful, which obviously it is, my good question for you is just why won't more companies do that? What is it that prevents either leaders or companies from doing the things that you pointed out?
It's a great question, and I'm not sure I have a great answer for it, but I think one of the answers is that it is much easier to focus on the tangibles than the intangibles. You know, hard is soft and soft is hard. And, you know, every airline in the U.S. has tried to emulate Southwest in one way or another, and of course, planes are available, flight attendants, pilots are available. You can reverse engineer their model. It's not a complicated model, and emulate it. What people have not been able to emulate is the spirit and the culture of the people. And what I think many companies aren't willing to do, because it's hard for them to see the cause and effect relationship, is pour the time, energy, and money into cultural development and cultural sustainment that they do into, for example, IT infrastructure. That's why I think more companies aren't doing it.
Okay, here's the question.
Yeah, I had a quick question as to, you know, we talked about the underlying premise to make this entire model essentially work is to have people who have social service to itself. But you talk about applying the rigor to find the right people. In our kind of environment where, frankly, it's hard to get anybody's time before we end up having to hire them, how do you apply that rigor? What are some simple ways to figure out that somebody actually has the mindset of putting service for itself?
Yeah, great question. I think the first key is that you get your target, your bullseye, established. What is it we're looking for? You know, because it's going to be different for different people in the room. I think the way you do that is by profiling your very, very best people today. If you took the cream of the crop, the top 1% of your performers today, and say, what are the characteristics they bring attitudinally to the game? We know what they bring from the schools. I mean, they come from the best schools in India. That's a no-brainer, and most of them all look the same. So it's not a skill set issue. From an attitudinal point of view, what do the cream of the crop have in our business, and how do we then go after that? A couple of quick things. I think you can screen, if you're willing to be rigorous, I think you can screen for attitude by asking questions like, tell me about a time when you really had to deal with uncertainty and ambiguity and lead a team through that. You know, how comfortable are you with uncertainty? Tell me about a time when you used humor to diffuse a tense situation with the customer. Tell me about a time when you broke the rules or you took a risk to make it right for a customer or a coworker. You know, are you willing to step outside the traditional box? Those kinds of questions will help you find out if somebody's bringing the right stuff to the game.
Given that, and then we'll come there.
What's the experience of driving enthusiasm across different centers across the world? You know, where you have cultural differences, and while you might confuse a center, say India, you're not able to kind of get across to a center in Japan or Poland or something else, or you have a cross-cultural organization across different world.
You know what, I'm going to take one quick stab at that, but I would love to hear one of the other panelists answer that as well, because I'm not sure I have a great answer for that. One thing I do know is one size doesn't fit all. And as I heard over and over again yesterday, we're going to source talent from wherever the centers of excellence are in the world. It's all going to be virtual. And as I went to bed last night, I was asking myself the very same question. Then how do you motivate a team where one part of the team's in Poland, one's in the U.S., and one's here in India? I don't know that I have an adequate answer for that. What I do believe is that everybody comes to work wanting to make a difference. And if we can show them how their individual contribution links to a larger cause, I think we can energize them. But I would love to hear you guys respond to that as well.
Let's take a shot at that.
The primary thing really is to start with the leaders, right? If the leaders who run those operations have the same mindset about what we're expecting from them, if you can get them enthusiastic and think about customers and service in the same way, they can then set the standard and example for their teams. It's difficult to start at the bottom because there are too many people. It'll take too much time. Get the leaders on the same page and then hold them accountable.
Would you like to add anything?
Well, culture is soft. That's why it's so hard. So it is something which will happen over time, but you need local leaders who understand the local culture, but also imbibe the global culture of your business.
Ajay, would you like to?
The only thing I would add is when in Rome, do as the Romans do. So you can't really import one kind of culture, one kind of best practices and assume it's going to work in the other location. So capitalize on what Pankaj said, is to have local leaders, local culture, and then move from there.
Then from there,
I think the most obvious metric, the tangible metric that comes to my mind when you want to measure this is customer sat. But what are the other tangible metrics to measure the customer relationship as such?
Well, certainly one I mentioned already, our engagement, statistics. That's very powerful today. And of course, if you look at the engagement statistics around the globe, and I'm sorry that I can't quote them here in India, but I know that they are fairly similar in many parts of the world. We've got, on average, in the U.S., we have 75% of the workforce that's not engaged in what they're doing. I'm betting it's higher here in India, given the fervor and the entrepreneurial excitement that's going on in India. In Japan, it's worse. And I don't know what it is in other parts of the country, but certainly an engagement metric, I think, is a powerful way to tell whether people are happy or not. Because when I'm happy, I give you my discretionary time, energy, and effort. If I'm not happy, I check off the box and get the heck out of the work environment as fast as I can.
So I can add to that. There's a Hewitt Index of Engagement, which has benchmarks by country across industries. The India index is about 63 or 64, which means on the average 63-64% of Indian employees are engaged. In Japan is probably half of that. The question is, what is your engagement index vis-a-vis that benchmark? And the analysis shows that total return to shareholders increases as engagement of employees increases.